Hannah coming to you from the Beehive. Today I'm going to show you how to make this Christmas tree pop-up card. And this is the inside of the card, and so when it's closed, it closes up flat, and I have the front of the card here. And then when you open it up, the tree kind of becomes dimensional. So it folds and it becomes dimensional. It's about half of a Christmas tree, but it's kind of cool. And I left my tree kind of plain, but you can also decorate it up, and I'll show you how to do that. And we are using the Peaceful Pines bundle, and that bundle has a stamp set and it has a framelit set that you use in the Big Shot. And if you buy the set and the framelit as a bundle, you can save 15%. So let me show you how to make this card. To start off, we're going to need a card base. So I've cut a piece of cardstock to 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And I have my simply scored scoring board here. I'm just going to put the long side of my piece of cardstock up at the top, and we are just going to score at the 4.25 inch mark. This is a standard card base. Then you're going to fold your card in half and use your bone folder to smooth down the fold. And then we're going to take a piece of Merry Moments Designer Series paper, and I have cut this piece to 4.25 inches by 2 inches. And I'm just going to take a little bit of Tombow, and I'm going to put the Tombow on this piece, and we are going to glue it maybe about 3/4 inch from the bottom, like that. Then you're going to need a piece of 2 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I have my Mossy Meadow Ink Pad here. Then we're going to take this tree right here from the stamp set, and I've already got it on a block. We're going to ink it up in the Mossy Meadow. We're going to stamp it in the center of this Whisper White piece. We want to leave enough room on the top so that we have room to stamp that little star. And you can grab the Hello Honey ink pad. And then we're going to use the little star that comes with that stamp set. I'm just going to lightly ink this up, Hello Honey, and I'm just going to eyeball that and put it right near the top. We're going to layer up the Whisper White piece on a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock, and I have cut this piece to 3 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So just go ahead and take some Tombow again. And we're going to just center that on our Mossy Meadow layer, like that. And then we're going to need a little piece of cherry cobbler twine, and you're going to need about 11 inches, 11 or 12 inches. Cut up 11 inches here. And you're just going to tie that around the bottom of your layer. I like to use locking tweezers to hold that first knot in place. Makes it easier to tie the knot, the second knot. So like that. And then get rid of the locking tweezer and make your knot a little tighter. Bring it down to where it needs to be. And then you can kind of trim off the ends. And I like to actually let the ends fray out so that they kind of have a tasseled looking end. So you can take your piercer and kind of help unravel the ends of that twine. I just like the look of that better than when it stays together. And sometimes when you end up tying the knot a few times, you end up unraveling some of the twine anyway, so I think it looks kind of cute like that. And then we're going to attach the focal point to the card base with dimensionals. So just take 4 dimensionals and place one on each of the corners. Then I'm removing the liner. So that just allows this piece to pop up a little bit. And then just layer that right onto the front of the card. This is a nice simple card front, but it's still really pretty because you don't want the front of your card to overshadow your pop-up. So I've kept it kind of simple, but it's still very pretty. Actually, this could be a standalone card just as it is. Okay, so let's work on the inside of the card next. So let's bring our Big Shot over. And I've got 2 pieces of Mossy Meadow cardstock here. I've cut them to about 5.5 inches by 3.5 inches. But I've got 2 pieces because we're going to cut 2 trees at a time. So for this card, you're going to need all 3 sizes of tree. So just go ahead and kind of lay out the trees on your cardstock. So there's room for all of them. And at the same time, we're also going to cut a little star. So I've got a piece of Hello Honey cardstock and the little star, and we're going to do this all at the same go. And I've got my second plate. And then let's just crank this through. Okay. So we've got, come on. We've got 2 of the largest trees, 2 of the medium trees, 2 of the small trees, and a star. I'm going to set this aside. Then we're going to go ahead and score the trees. So I've darkened the 6-inch score line of my Simply Scored with a black Sharpie. I don't know if you can see that if I hold it up to the camera. It is darker than the rest. This helps me line up my trees when I score them. So I'm going to take each of my trees, so I'll have 6 in total, 2 large, 2 medium, 2 small. And each one of them, I am going to score them. I'm going to put the tip of the tree up at the 6-inch mark, and then I am going to score down to the point that's halfway in between the outer point and the tree trunk. So I've just kind of shifted my tree so that it falls along the score line right there. Then I'm just going to go ahead and score. Then I shift my tree over to the other side and I do the same thing. The top part is at the 6-inch mark, and then I've lined this up so it's halfway in between the outer point and the tree trunk, and then you just go ahead and score. You are going to do that for all 6 of those trees. Okay, in each case you're just going to go ahead and do the point up at the top and then halfway in between. It doesn't matter what size the tree is, it's the same thing. Point at the top and then halfway in between. So do that for all 6 trees. And then while I have my scoring board out, I'm also going to score the trunk piece. I've cut a piece of early Espresso cardstock to 1.5 inches by 1 inch. And I'm going to put the 1.5 inch side up at the top, and I am going to score at the 1/4 inch mark, the 3.25 inch mark, and the 1.25 inch mark. And that's what makes up our little trunk. So now I can set this aside. Now let's bring in our card base again. And I'm going to need a piece of the Merry Moments Designer Series paper. And notice I'm matching this paper from the outside, and I'm using the same on the inside. And I'm using my large oval punch. And I'm just going to go ahead and punch an oval out of this paper. And that is going to be my little tree skirt. So just fold the tree skirt or the oval in half, and then we're going to open it up and put a little Tombow all along the back. And then we're going to glue this down at the bottom. Make sure you've got the card going the right way. And I'm going to glue this about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. And your fold is going to match the fold of the card because you're going to want it to be able to open and close properly. Next, we're going to take our tree trunk piece and we're going to fold it along the score lines. So I'm going to be gluing these 2 skinny pieces, these tab end pieces, to the card, and I'm going to be gluing them straddling the score line. It's best if they don't overlap. It's best if they kind of actually, I don't know if you can see, if there's like a little tiny gap that straddles the score line, that is the best way. So I'm just going to go ahead and put Tombow on both of those skinny tab pieces, and then I'm going to bring this down. This is going to be about 3/8 of an inch from the bottom of the card, 3/8 to 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to take my stylus tool. I'm going to use the ball to kind of help give some weight on that glue so that it sits down. Just turn it around, make sure it's even, straddling. Hold this up a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. It is like a little triangle down at the bottom of your card. So it's just going to, when you open and close it in a moment, you will see that it will fold up and it becomes the perfect little tree trunk for the bottom. Okay, so now let's bring in all our tree pieces, and I showed you how to score them before. You need all 6 of the trees scored, so I have 2 small, 2 medium, and 2 large. So I'm going to take, first of all, my 2 small trees and my paper snips. I'm going to line them up, and I'm going to cut off the tree trunk because we don't need it. So let's just go ahead and get rid of those right now before it becomes hard to cut them off. Just line them up and cut them. If you do that, then you can do 2 at a time. Saves you a little time. Okay, so then we're going to glue these together. So first, just like fold the small tree along the score lines. And then we're just going to put Tombow on one side. We're going to glue that and line it up with the other side. Key here is to line it up. Okay, you can set it aside. Then do the next one. You're going to fold along the score lines. And then we're going to put Tombow along the one side. And then bring in your other tree and line it up and glue it together. And then last but not least, we'll do the last one here. This one's the largest tree. And we're going to take Tombow and put it along the side of the tree like that. And then glue it together. Okay, so now we have a large, medium, and small. I'm going to line each piece up halfway up on each tree. I found it's best if I shave off the top 2 pieces of the tree. So I'm just going to kind of take off the tips right here of this tree. This is along the edge where you've glued. I'm just kind of shaving off those top 2 tips because I find that way I can spread the tree out a little further and it looks a little better. So I'm going to do that with the bottom piece, and I'm also going to do that with my middle piece or my medium-sized tree. So I'm just going to cut those top 2 tips, kind of shave them off a little bit, because that is going to give me a little bit more playroom when I glue them all on there. So before you actually glue yours down, just kind of play with how you want to glue each of these on. You're going to want this bottom one fairly close to the tree skirt, and then the medium one is going to be glued next on top of that, and then finally you're going to have your smallest one. So you kind of just have an idea of the placement that you want to do. Okay, so let's glue the tree onto the card base. We're going to start off with the largest piece, and we're going to put Tombow on both of the side pieces. Okay, so you see that I've got it on those scored side pieces. And then this is the key part. You're going to make sure that the middle of your tree lines up with the score line, and then the sides matter somewhat, but they're not as important. You need to make sure that it's lined up. That tree is lined up right on the score line. And I am going to, on my first tree, I measured it from the middle of the tree to the score line on the side. It was roughly about an inch. So there's about a 2-inch spread from this score line to this score line. So that is the largest tree that goes down first. Then take your medium tree, and you're also going to put Tombow on the sides like that. And then you're going to position over top. Remember, we shaved off the top 2 branches or tips. So that's where you're going to align the next one. And then you're just going to make sure, again, the center is going right along the score line, because that's the very key thing with the pop-up, because that is where the card is going to fold. That needs to fold inwards. And we're going to take the last one, and remember, on the smallest one we didn't shave off anything because that is the top of the tree, and nothing will be on top of that except for the star. So you notice that it doesn't have any shaved branches, but this one does, the middle one does. So you're just going to line up your last one over top, and then make sure the center is right down the score line so everything lines up. Okay, can you see that? So it's all lined up down the center of the score line all the way down to the bottom. So then last, remember, we cut ourselves a little star, and I tried scoring the star in half, but it really didn't matter. The score line still kind of looked crumpled. So I'm going to fold this little star in half with one of the tips at the top, just to kind of get it started like that. You see that? I've just kind of folded it in half. And then I'm going to put Tombow on the back of that star. And then I'm going to just glue that right up at the top. And again, you'll want your fold line to be right along the score line, like that. If you want to decorate up this Christmas tree, the Perfect Pines framelits come with these little ornaments right here. You've got this little single ornament right there, and then you also have a double ornament, 2 ornaments on one piece. And you can run that through with some cardstock or paper. And so I've got these little pieces here that I've already run through. So if you wanted to, you could go ahead and adhere those to your tree. The only thing that, if you're going to decorate your tree, the only thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to have anything going over any of the score lines. So you can have the ornament here on the side, you can have it over here on this side, no problem. You can even have it on the tip going like this. But where the score line bends here and here, you don't want anything to overlap on there. So just be careful with that, but you can put it here, you can put it here, you can put it here, just not on the score line. So the last few things I'm going to do, I've got my cherry Cobbler ink pad. And there's some cute little greetings that come with this set. So I'm just going to take one of those and ink it up in the cherry cobbler. And I'm going to stamp it right up top here like that. And then I also went ahead and cut up some of these little presents. And if you want to, you could theoretically just stamp these little gifts right onto the cardstock if you wanted to, but I decided that I was actually going to stamp them on crumb cake cardstock and then die cut them. And you can just adhere those to your card with some Tombow. So then when you're done, your card will look like this, and it will open and close. And this will just be a great wow card to give someone at Christmas time. Pop-ups are always a lot of fun to do and to receive. All the supplies you'll need to make this Perfect Pines pop-up card are available for purchase on my blog. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Bye for now.